The biggest shift is that investors still want control, but they also want help navigating complexity. So they're doing it themselves, but they're not doing it alone.
The online brokerage space is evolving fast. What started as really low-cost investment access is now being reshaped by even lower costs, rising investor expectations, and rapid innovation. Today, we're going to explore how self-directed or DIY investing is changing and what platforms like BMO InvestorLine are focused on to meet this changing demand. Before we get into it today, as always, a quick reminder that we're not providing any investment advice or recommendations. Today is all about information and education for Canadian DIY investors. And joining me today is Dave McGann, who is Director of Active Trading at BMO InvestorLine. Dave, you've been on about a year ago now, but welcome back to the channel. It's been a while.
It's great to be back with you, Erin. Thank you.
I'm excited to get into our discussion today, and I'm hoping you can sort of set the stage for us in terms of why we're having this conversation today, in terms of the growth in that online investing community that we've really seen explode since COVID.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. There certainly has been a lot of growth, and I think you're right. COVID was a bit of an inflection point for the online investing space. And really, when you think about it, Erin, all digital channels, right? Like if we take a step back, how many of us were really, ordering groceries online through a digital channel pre-COVID, or even food for that matter? Like it was just getting started, right? And so I think what COVID did is it kind of forced us into engaging more with digital channels. And obviously being in the online investing space, we've benefited greatly from that. When we think about accounts in the industry, in 2021. So this is just kind of, right in the middle of COVID. Industry accounts, Erin, were about 10 million. Today, we're sitting north of 14 million as of the end of 2025. So, strong 40% growth there. When we think about industry assets, Erin, it was about 750 billion, around 2021, nearly 1.3 trillion today. And trading volumes have more than doubled. So COVID obviously created a bit of an inflection as far as trading volumes. We had a huge spike. We dipped a little bit over the course of, I'd say, 2022, 2023, but we're still sustaining trading volumes that are more than 2x what we were pre-COVID. And so self-directed investing really now, Erin, has become mainstream. Close to 50% of Canadian investors have self-directed accounts. And so DIY investing is really now the default investing entry point for the majority of Canadians.
Yeah, for sure. I think from a BMO ETF perspective, we really recognize this change coming out of COVID as well, and pivoted a lot of what we were creating when it comes to content into more of a digital DIY investor first space where, it's really democratizing access to information, and the online investing marketplace has just exploded. I didn't give you a proper introduction. How long have you been in the online investing space for, Dave?
Well, I've, over, I guess, my career, we're probably getting on 15, 16 years in digital investing. And I've been with BMO InvestorLine for the better part of just about 9 years now, Erin.
Wow. Okay. So you've seen it all. What would you say are sort of the biggest developments or innovations in the space over that time?
Well, I think in terms of biggest developments, certainly the environment has been one of the biggest developments. And we just talked a bit about that around, COVID and what that really created. Aside from, the perfect environment, another development that was pretty significant was pricing. Pricing has been a major factor. We've seen a number of players reduce pricing to, in some cases, as low as $0 per trade. BMO InvestorLine, we also have made adjustments in pricing over time. We now offer $3.95 per equity trade for active trading pricing on our platform as well. So even we have made adjustments. So pricing has been a primary factor. I'd say experience is number two. And if we were to take a bit of a step back and think about, DIY investing and self-directed investors, Erin, even going back 10, 15 years ago, the whole premise behind online investing, DIY investing, was to allow self-directed investors to be able to execute trades themselves online. And so 10, 15 years ago, the experience was really just a platform and a capability to execute trades. It was really execution focused. experience has dramatically evolved since then. We've got better onboarding, better mobile platforms, or the introduction of mobile platforms. Investors now have tools in the platform, education baked into the platform, research capabilities, all at their fingertips. So I'd say experience has been another significant driver for the growth. And I think where we're at now is really shifting more and more into kind of that innovation space. And so, again, it's moving beyond just pure access to smarter, more personalized digital support, including AI-powered insights and guidance. And, example I'll give you is at InvestorLine, we've recently introduced AI news and market summaries in April, delivering AI-powered updates of current market information directly available on the platform. So all of our Advice Direct and self-directed InvestorLine clients now have access to continuously refreshed AI news and market summaries covering Canadian and US markets, along with stock-specific updates as well. So, the innovation, I think, is that third driver, and I think it's going to be accelerant for how we see growth going forward in the future as well.
It's really interesting because a lot of that sort of revolves around like access to information and tools. And looking back at, as you say, it just started as a platform where to execute trades, and it's come so far in terms of offering new tools and resources for investors. And these DIY investors are becoming a lot more educated because of it, which is amazing to see. Curious as to how your definition of a self-directed investor has changed over that time. Would you say clients today are more independent, or are they actually asking for like a little bit more guidance? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, great question. I'll go back to that one example I mentioned, right? Again, 10, 15 years ago, self-directed investor, purely self-directed, came to the platforms just to execute trades. They had to figure out everything on their own. And a lot of that, in some cases, might have even been off platform just because of how basic online broker platforms were back then. I think it's important also to take a bit of a step back, Erin, and just talk about, well, what's driving adoption? And so there have been surveys out there around, well, like, what are the main reasons why people choose DIY investing to begin with? And the number one reason is control. So they want to be the pilot. They want to control their investing decisions. And the number two reason is fees, especially fees relative to, other investing channels. Online investing, DIY investing can be very appealing for those reasons. And so the biggest shift, I would say, Erin, is that self-directed no longer means self-serve in isolation. You're not just coming to a platform to execute trades. The biggest shift is that investors still want control, but they also want help navigating complexity. And whether that complexity is with education and learning more concepts about trading, investing, whether that's more context on their portfolios, more context on market insights, more tools. These are really some of the factors that have changed the definition of a self-directed investor from purely coming to a platform, being a pilot, making their own decisions, to today actually wanting to have guidance that can help them make smarter investing decisions. And so while they might be still self-directed, they might still be the pilot driving their own investment decisions, they are looking for tools, features, and capabilities that can help them do that smarter. So they're doing it themselves, but they're not doing it alone because platforms now have capabilities to help provide them the tools and features to enable them to make smarter investing decisions.
I'm really excited about how InvestorLine is adopting AI more, and to see generally how the industry goes about leveraging that to make this even better. But I think historically, discount brokerages have really competed on access, like on the platform, and on low cost a lot around cost. And especially more recently, we've seen this sort of cost, everybody's shaking up their cost structure year over year. What does that competitive differentiation look like today? And where do you think it's going to go in the future based off of some things we're seeing in the regulatory changes?
Yeah, and another great question, and some of this dovetails a little bit into some of my previous responses as well. So yes, price has created some competitive differentiation, but I think we're seeing that shift a little bit, especially as more and more providers find creative ways to bridge some of those pricing gaps. But I think above all, Aaron, what investors really want is they just want value for any fees that they're paying, right? Like that's at the end of the day, I think what's most important. And so I think in addition to getting value for any fees that they're going to be paying, it's also about how well a platform can help them make informed decisions, help them make smarter investing decisions. Okay. And so, platforms that are delivering strong digital experiences, thoughtful integration of really smart education, personalization within the platform in terms of tools and features and capabilities that really match their level of confidence, and sophistication. Of course, obviously there's also been regulatory changes that are going to enable DIY investing platforms to be able to do more. And I'll unpack that a little bit by summarizing that, online discount brokers, DIY platforms will now be able to provide non-tailored guidance. And so examples are model portfolios where investors will be able to come into the platform, for example, and see some ideas around, well, what might be a model portfolio that lines up nicely with how I might want to invest. And so those are going to be the types of tools and features and capabilities where brokers are now going to be able to differentiate by bringing in some of that non-tailored advice through things like model portfolios and create experiences where it can become a little bit more personalized. So to complement the concept like model portfolios that you might be interested in, education and tools, again, that are a little bit more personalized based on how you want to engage with your investing and your trading objectives. That's where we're going to see, I think, more innovation. And also that will create, I think, more differentiation over time. And I think that the platform providers that are going to win, they're going to do a wonderful job by creating experiences, by creating that element of personalization and journeys that allow individual DIY investors to really customize an experience that caters to the way they want to engage with the markets, the way that they want to trade, the way that they might want to learn, the way they might want to research a particular trade idea. And so I think that's where we're going to see differentiation as we go forward. And it's going to be exciting to see a lot of the innovation unfold in the space.
Very excited to see that unfold for sure. Lots of potential ways you can take some of these rule changes as an online platform. Let's talk about the next gen of investor, those people that are just dipping their toes in the water. What does your platform really need to get right for these first time or early stage investors? And is it a different approach? Like, does your platform need to sort of evolve to meet these needs?
Yeah, great question. And I think the first thing that's really most important to get right is enabling getting started to be smart and easy, right? Like that's really, really important. And so that means things like really intuitive onboarding, simple funding, and just really a platform that they come into that feels approachable. It doesn't feel overwhelming. And so over the past number of years, InvestorLine, for example, we've made considerable investments to try to strengthen our onboarding process, to make it easier, and just the platform experience itself when you come in, trying to make that much more approachable as well. I think the second thing that we need to get right, apart from making it easy to get in and get started, is that we need to help investors build confidence early. And part of how you do that is with the right kind of education within the platform. And so an example I'll give you is, we recently rolled out a really robust options trading course that starts with, 101 options trading for any beginner that's just brand new into options, all the way through to very sophisticated, complex, multi-leg options trading. And so that education is meant to be progressive in nature, but it's also meant to help investors coming in learn about the world of options, and be able to develop, their confidence at their own pace, to be able to progress more and more into strategies that might involve options. So that's a great example as well. I think third, Erin, it needs to be relevant to how younger investors, live digitally, right? And today I think we find the majority of younger Canadians, younger investors are mobile first, for example. And so they're looking for very responsive and personalized kind of mobile experiences. We've made significant investments as well with our mobile app. In fact, right now, our mobile app is one of the top rated mobile apps in the industry. So we're very proud of that. And we continue to evolve and strengthen our mobile app capabilities. And then I think the fourth and final thing that's really important to get right for younger investors, and this ties into some of the themes I've already mentioned, is really around creating strong personalized journeys. I think younger Canadians in particular, when they engage with digital channels, often it's digital channels that have really neat, simple, and easy journeys that allow them to engage in a very easy way is what keeps them engaged, keeps them loyal to that particular experience. And so that's something we're thinking about very seriously as well, and continuing to level up the way we think about creating and supporting personalized journeys that can help younger investors come in, get comfortable with the idea of trading and investing on their own. And if they have an appetite to learn more, to become more sophisticated over time, have the right journeys that point to the right tools and education and capabilities that can help them develop that sophistication. So those are the things that I think are going to be important for young investors coming in for the first time.
That's great. And I love the focus on education, because I think it's so easy. It is easy to get started, but if you have a bad outcome right off the jump, it's easy to, lose hope pretty quickly. Let's turn to products and trends that you're seeing. What's the research showing in terms of what are the investing vehicles of choice for the DIY investor set of the community?
Yeah, great question. There's probably two themes that make sense to touch on, Erin. I think number one, ETFs, and I know this lays out really nice the space that you're in, but look, I mean, the reality is ETFs have really changed the game for online self-directed investors. There's been so much innovation, Erin, as you know, and you've been kind of at the forefront of a lot of that. You and the GAM team, the broader GAM team, and so when we think about even just ETF product constructs, ideas like asset allocation ETFs, right? Covered call ETFs, for which I know BMO in particular has some wonderful products, and there's a lot of other great products on the market as well. In that context, to help you build income generation with like a simple ETF product, leveraged ETFs. Another example of innovation in the ETF space, and so ETFs have really created a lot of diversity and different ways to engage with the markets. And actually now, Erin, I mean, it's close to 20% of the assets that we have on our platform are actually invested with and through ETFs. And so we continue to see that demand. We expect that will continue as we go forward. And we see lots of fantastic innovation with products. And part of how we're trying to support that as well is we have a fantastic suite today of commission-free ETFs on the InvestorLine platform. So all those examples that I mentioned, whether it be asset allocation ETFs or even covered call ETFs, you can access some of these products commission-free on our platform. And so we're really proud of our suite of commission-free ETFs. Of course, we have some fantastic tools to complement that as far as screening for and just learning about different ETF products that might be a great fit. So that's number one as far as, let's call it product trends. It's been a trend for a while, Erin, and I don't think it's going to go away. I think the second trend is really in the options space. Erin, you've heard me talk a bit about a lot that we've done on the education front, but we've actually done quite a lot more. Before I get into that, to give you some context, and just in terms of data that's really easily accessible, when we look at the US markets in particular, since 2020, trading, so just equity trading, has had a compound annual growth rate of about 10%. Okay, so compound annual growth rate of about 10% for equity trading in the US markets. Options trading, that compound annual growth rate has been 15%. So options trading the growth has been outpacing that of equity trading. And so the demand and the wave of demand for options trading has really started to pick up. And so strategies like multi-leg options trading have grown 20% since 2020. Strategies like covered calls are actually the fastest growing option strategy. And so that's another product and category, Erin, that is really seeing a lot of demand, a lot of growth, a lot of innovation. And part of the innovation too is the way online brokers are able to bring tools and capabilities to not only help investors and traders learn about the world of investing, as I mentioned with our educational courses, but fantastic tools to screen and even search for option trade ideas. We've got some fantastic screening and analyzing tools as well to really help our investing community be able to engage with the world of investing. And we're really proud of those developments. And we're rolling out more and more of those capabilities on mobile as well. So those two categories, Erin, from a product standpoint, I think are where we're seeing the most demand: ETFs and options trading.
That's great. Thanks for all those insights on that, Dave. Maybe final question. Are there any tools or new things at InvestorLine that we haven't talked about yet that you would want to note?
Yeah, look, we continue to roll out a lot of different types of tools and capabilities. We see it across the industry as well. I'll note a few within our platform. I think that are notable. I think number one, we have a really fantastic active trading platform. And while the terminology might infer, you need to be this hyperactive trader that's trading, 20 times a day, while it can absolutely support that, that's not just who it's for. It's a fantastic platform that has leading cutting edge charting capabilities, streaming quotes, really strong set of modules for things like watch lists and news and heat maps. It's just a different layer of let's call it real-time insights and capabilities to support investors and traders. And so we're really proud of that particular offering. But what we're also rolling out, and this is coming soon, and more of our client base will get exposure to this very soon, Erin, is paper trading on that particular platform. And so paper trading, to kind of unpack that a little bit, is the opportunity to actually use paper money or simulated trading. Okay. And so it's just an awesome opportunity for our clients to be able to test different types of trading strategies, maybe even dabble with the idea of trying options for the first time, and doing it in a way where it's fully simulated. It replicates exactly how you would engage with the markets, but of course you're not risking your own capital. And so you have the opportunity to try things out, to get a feel for it. And so we're really proud of that capability. And over the course of the summer, more and more of our client base will have access to that. So that's really exciting. Of course,
I can see that having a big application in families too, as you look to get the rest, your kids and stuff engaged. That could be a potential way as well.
That's a great point. Absolutely. I did talk also already a bit about, options trading and educational courses and tools. And so, we're going to continue to build and level up what those capabilities look like, what the education looks like, and enable more access in particular for our clients to learn about these features and capabilities. And so, what our investing community can expect is over the course of the summer, we'll be rolling out capabilities to even book a demo, to be able to try these things out, and actually have an opportunity to spend time with a specialist to review, our active trading platform, to review our paper trading, to dive into a little bit of our options trading features and capabilities. And so we're really excited to kind of deliver that new channel, if you will, Erin, to allow our clients to explore some of these features where, today, they might be a little bit apprehensive to engage, but with the help of someone kind of showing them and holding their hand and walking them through how some of these tools and features can add tremendous power and really help enable smarter investing decisions. We think that channel is going to be fantastic to enable that. Another tool that we're really proud of, Erin, is we rolled out My Financial Progress, okay, which is really like self-directed financial planning capabilities, if you will, embedded directly into our platforms, both InvestorLine self-directed as well as Advice Direct. And so we're excited about that because, it nicely complements obviously anyone on our platform that's looking to invest and trade with some planning capabilities as well, so they can have a more holistic approach towards the way that they're managing, the way they think about, their investing, but they're planning for the future as well. And I think the last one I'll call out, and I already touched on it, is obviously, some of the evolution, leveraging AI. And I did talk about the fact that we have now fantastic capabilities to deliver AI news and market summaries. That's the beginning of really what we're introducing, to our investing community in terms of AI powered capabilities. And as I mentioned earlier, Erin, all of these capabilities are really, they're intended to just help our clients be able to make smarter investing decisions. That's our goal. That's our objective. And we're excited about how AI and AI powered tools and features and capabilities can really support that mission.
What a time to be alive. This is very exciting stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing the developments, near term and long term, that come out of this online investing space. Thank you, Dave, for being here and all your insights today.
A real pleasure. Thank you very much, Erin.
And thanks to our viewers for tuning in. That's all for this week, but we'll see you next time. Bye for now.